Well, somebody's been doing it. Hello, my name is Paul, and I've just bought a car. Not that one. Yes, this one. A 2009 Toyota Aygo. It's a 3-cylinder city car. I think 1 litre, same as the Citroen C1 and the Peugeot 107. And I like it. I'm not being sarcastic. I actually do. I do like it. I think they're a quirky little car. I think they're fun to drive, and I think this is a good purchase because I can't go wrong with it. I really can't. I've paid £100 for this car, and then I found out afterwards it's got MOT till September, and it still works and drives. But it does have 4 problems with it, and those are as follows. Both of the sills are going crusty. That one's worse because it's been dented or driven along a high curb as well. Its engine burns a bit of oil. But number 3 is the bad one, and that is that the timing chain is apparently a bit baggy. Oh, well, according to the chap next door, in fact, it's about to fall off. It's filthy inside, although not quite as filthy now as it was the other day. Let's have a look at some pictures from the other day, shall we? I did a bit of antibacterial stuff on the seats because they were going mouldy. The rest of the car is still what I would call pretty grotty. To the degree, actually, that, I mean, there's really any point in getting a bag. I might as well just drive it straight over to the skip. There's the little Toyota's bonnet open. And what do we see? Little bonnet, little engine, little battery, and aircon. I wonder if it even works. What I'm going to do now, bin liner, get rid of all that stuff and shite in there, whilst I have a think about the future of this car. Oh, and give it a name as well. Give it a name. Yeah, I owned one of these about 6 years ago and I really liked it. Just great fun. No pretense, no nonsense, fun. Anyway, the problem with Toyota and Honda and even Nissan to a degree is that people think that they just don't need looking after. So they get bought, they get used and abused. And I don't mean abused because the amount of Toyotas you see that may be 10 or 15 years old with smoke billowing out the back is astonishing, really. The assumption is it's a Japanese car. It won't go wrong, it won't wear out, it will never let you down. Yes, it will. It's still a car. It still has an engine with bits that cause friction. It still has rust to contend with. It still has oil that needs changing. Minicab drivers always like the Toyota Avensis. They seem to have all disappeared now, probably because they never check the oil. These days it's the Toyota Prius that you see, and you can tell it's a minicab from right down the road because there's always a headlamp out. Because they assume it's a Toyota. Headlamps don't fail on these. So the engine in this car has a timing chain, and according to Toyota, the chain should last the lifetime of the car if the oil is looked after. And this has 99,425 miles on it. You could argue, and you may as well do, that that is the lifetime of the car. That's enough. But we see cars with much, much more miles on than that. However, yeah, they probably do mean, yeah, I mean, they want to sell you a car that you don't have to look after. That's the idea. Buy it completely worry-free motoring, buy it, drive it, and then eventually scrap it. 15 years old, that's old enough. You don't want to have it any longer than that. It's done nearly 100,000 miles. That's enough. It might have done more. Might have been clocked. Might have a different clock in it altogether. Who knows? Who knows indeed. I mean, all this, I'm going to have to clean all this because this is just doing my head in. But look at that. Look at that hazard light switch there. It's all cracked. I mean, it works, but maybe it's just been hit that often. Maybe the car's broken down so often that the plastic has become brittle because of this being constantly pressed. But it hasn't, has it? I bet that car's never broken down. I bet there's never been a legitimate excuse to put those hazard lights on. They're not hazard lights, they're takeaway lights. You put them on when you stop at the takeaway or when you're delivering a takeaway. And this car's probably done an awful lot of that. That's just my assumption. It only took 10 minutes just to get all the crap out. Although I could do with vacuuming it as well. But it has got that nasty kind of carpet that's a bit like pubic hair that doesn't really clean up very well. Oh, and I've put a bit of oil in it. Because the boot is so skinny, the back end ends up looking really quite fat. But it's not. It's quite a narrow car actually. But we can see the carpet is in a bit of a mess. So that's the next job. Oh, and then cleaning the dashboard as well. Already making fond memories with this car that I've decided should be called Randy, after the chap next door that isn't actually called Randy, but that's what I call him. Would you like a time lapse of me vacuuming it out? Good, because I need to charge my phone. I have this figured out. I've got a plan. Actually, I thought this a couple of days back, but I'll tell you what it is now. I'm going to drive it. I'm going to do a test drive video on it. I used to have one of these. Fond memories. Let's have some more fond memories. I'll drive it and drive it and drive it until that timing chain does give up and then it's scrap. At which point I shall bring it back here and take it into pieces and sell the lot. This is definitely the kind of car that gets crashed a lot. So therefore, the bumpers, the lights, the mirrors, and maybe even the bonnet and the doors are all decent candidates for, well, breaking. I may well find that this is exactly the kind of car I need to be buying, because if it works, you sell it. If it doesn't work, you take bits off of it and sell it to the kind of people that like this car and want to keep it, or that keep crashing them. Probably a bit of both actually. With a combination of antibacterial stuff and traffic film remover, I've done this. I've vacuumed it out and cleaned it all up, and it looks so much better than it did do before. Even the door cards, which were really grubby. Traffic film remover. Oh, I've missed a bit. Traffic film remover does an excellent job on interiors. As an added bonus, I have found a bottle of beer in here that's actually unopened. It's not a beer that I've ever bought before. And coins to the value of £1.49, which now means that this car cost £98.51. Tempted to wash it now. Maybe I should just clean these headlamps because they're a bit, well, no, they're a lot faded. I've just put some petrol in Randy because the light was flashing to say, I'm just about to run out. I've not been out of the yard though. I've just used the old stuff I had here from when I took it all out of Johnny's car months back. So it's petrol, maybe on a bit stale with a bit of diesel in it. I mean, if there's a car that's going to be not particularly that arsed about how good the fuel is, this is possibly it. More on the floor than I actually got in the car. Oh, what? Seriously, it hasn't got that much fuel in it now, has it? How diddy is this tank? That was in the bottom bar flashing away before. A brilliantly sharp turning circle, actually. That's impressive. What's less impressive though is that beeping noise going on, telling me to put my seatbelt on. I don't need to do, I'm on private land. Hello. Look at that for a turning circle. That's fantastic. I'm going to give this car a wash actually, and suddenly we have a almost respectable looking car. I thought I was being smart, turns out I was being incredibly stupid. Oh, what a pickle. I may well have just cut a corner too far there, but I don't know. You see that fuel, I put it in and it was fine. I even showed off about it next door. I've just put some really shitty stale fuel mix with diesel in that car and it still works okay.
All that YouTube experiment.
But soon after putting that fuel in, it wasn't running right. Now, I've managed to get that fuel back out. And it was, I mean, that's just stupid. I didn't think I'd put that much in. But I've gone from a flashing 1 bar to a solid 3. Which means that it was a lot more than I was expecting. Anyway, the only way to get this out, it would seem, the easiest way was to disconnect the pipe from the filler to the fuel tank, which is why I was underneath the thing, and then sucked it out with the pump like that. It worked. Now it's back down to a flashing 1. So the only thing I can do now is just try again. I was actually gone and buy some petrol for it, put some nice new petrol in, petrol that hasn't got diesel in, hasn't got any contaminants in, and hope for the best. Ultimately, this car is just going to be taken apart anyway, so it actually doesn't really matter. But I was looking forward to having a drive about in it, and I wanted to do a review, and I can't do a review of a car that's running on 2 cylinders. That's what it sounds like. Or what's happened is the timing chain has jumped a tooth and now it doesn't want to run properly at all. But I can't be sure. I'm going to have to ask Randy tomorrow whether that's what it sounded like or whether it's not what it sounded like.
The next morning.
The 1970 anti-fascist orange.
Alexi Sales.
It's called silk that Russia took discover.
It's Wednesday and I'm off to the petrol station to get probably about £7 worth of petrol to go into the Aygo called Randy. It's funny, isn't it, really? I mean, I put that old petrol in there because to save this £6 to £7 I'm having to spend now, and because I've had to faff around, it might be £6 or £7 wasted rather than what it would have been used. I doubt it though. Either that or what's actually happened is that baggy chain has slipped a tooth and now it doesn't really want to work at all. £7.78 later, all the windows open because that does stink. Although I like the smell of petrol because I'm a man and men like the smell of petrol. Maybe women do too. Maybe we shouldn't. Petrol doesn't smell the same as it used to do, does it? I remember being about 7 or 8 years old and being stood behind a running car and smelling its exhaust fumes. I mean, I didn't have a lot of choice but to smell it, of course, because it was on. And liking it. The old smell of leaded petrol pumping out the back of a little pea shooter going. That explains a lot. Come out. Oh, it must have been properly low because it's still flashing. Well, it doesn't look like I'm going to be getting my Toyota Aygo test drive video after all.